What are they laughing at? Well, congratulations, Biden-Harris. You've just made America the laughing stock of the world, and Africa in particular. Guys, you can believe that.
Who disagrees with the submissions just made by the Honorable and the Apia Kubi that all the 275 are in support of the bill? Anybody who disagrees, be on your feet and I will recognize you.
You've got to watch this whole video to believe it and to understand it. If you're in America and you don't understand what's going on in Africa, get ready to see what the mainstream media isn't showing you, but we are. Dear God, please protect me. What's gotten into Africa? I'll tell you what's gotten into Africa. A lot of God and a lot of power. Africa has just issued strict anti-gay laws, and they have receipts for why they did it. They're backed, first of all, by God and his laws. Next, by the CDC and medical. Next, by psychological data, and also by the laws of nature and science, which all lines up with their constitutional values and laws, henceforth 100% unanimous decision, all parliament 275 members in favor of keeping the LGBTQXYZ agenda out of their country. Are you ready to hear the front-running argument of Sam George of Ghana as he tears apart any legitimate reasoning for allowing this new religion, LGBTQ, to infiltrate this African country? This is epic. Subscribe and like for more, and you guys gotta watch this clip bit by bit. Sam George here in Africa, in Ghana, on the new laws and why. What say you? Let me know in the comments. Let's just grab a drink and a snack while we watch this one together.
Mr. Speaker, my submission would anchor on 4 legs: traditional, scientific, legal, and religious. Mr. Speaker, Ghana is a culturally rich nation. We have 70 ethnic groups and 80 languages. We have 242 traditional areas that are recognized by the National House of Chiefs. Mr. Speaker, we throw an open challenge to proponents outside of this house, since there's no proponents in this house, of LGBTQ rights, to show us one Ghanaian traditional language or one Ghanaian traditional area that accepts and supports homosexuality. Language is an identifier of an ethnic group. And when you take all the 70 Ghanaian languages, over 70 Ghanaian languages, each one of them has words for things that are natural to the people. Things that are alien, they don't have words for them, they have descriptions for them. So when people say that the white man brought us Christianity, for example, it's incorrect, because when you take our local languages, we have names for the supreme being and names for lesser deities. In Akan, we have Odumankuma Nyankupon, who is the supreme being, who the Hebrews call Yahweh. Or in Ga, we have Atana Anyumo. So God is not a new construct to our language. But when you take things like computer, which are new things to our language, we call it Abefo Efidie Enchi. It's a description. When you take telephone, we call it Ahumatrufu or something, a description. And when you take homosexuals, we call them Kojo Besia, Kojo Aoya Ninyama Tise Besia. It is a description, simply because it is alien to our language. And so when it comes to tradition and our culture, these are alien to our culture. Mr. Speaker, in the West, their culture seems to prohibit polygamy and support this. People think it's a cultural thing. It's actually not a cultural thing for the West. It's a financial decision. And let's put it to the Western world, that because of their tax system, that is why they frown on polygamy, not because of culture. Because when you are a single man in the West, you pay a higher tax. Once you get married to your spouse, your household tax reduces your individual tax liability. So then imagine if they allowed one man to have 4 wives. He will pay less tax to their exchequer. It is about money for the West. That is why they have criminalized polygamy. It's not about culture. And so they should not follow money and ask us to accept something that is culturally reprehensible. Mr. Speaker, let me go to the legal part. Our constitution has been dealt with, but when you read the report, those who argue against this bill say that Ghana is a signatory to international rights, the conventions and treaties. Very true. But Mr. Speaker, what they fail to do is they think that all of us don't read, but some of us do read. And Mr. Speaker, all the conventions that they have quoted in their memos to the committee, we would establish the fallacy of their positions. Mr. Speaker, the African Charter on Human and People's Rights in Article 17 says this: every individual shall have the right to education. 17.2, every individual may freely take part in the cultural life of his community. But 17.3 says, the promotion and protection of morals and traditional values recognized by the community shall be the duty of the state. This is the African Charter on Human and People's Rights. So it says the promotion of morals and traditional values. So what morals are we talking about? What traditional values are we talking about? This is the convention Ghana has signed up to. And so this bill is in line with that convention. In fact, Article 18 of the same African Charter says the family shall be the natural unit and basis of society. It shall be protected by the state, which shall take care of its fiscal health and morals. The state shall have the duty to assist the family, which is the custodian of morals and traditional values recognized by the community. So if we say the family, what is the family? Is it a man and a man, or a woman and a woman, or a man and a woman with their children? We have our traditional values. Mr. Speaker, they always make reference to the UN Declaration on Human Rights. The UN Declaration on Human Rights in Article 2, I read, it says, everyone is entitled to all the rights and freedoms set forth in this declaration without distinction of any kind. And these are the distinctions it makes: race, color, sex, language, religion, political or other opinion, national or social origin, property, birth or other status. Mr. Speaker, I want to make it clear in this hallowed chamber that there is a clear distinction between sex and gender. Complete distinction. Sex is a biological construct. Gender is a social construct. Sex is binary, male or female. It is the source code for even computer science, 0 and 1. To be a male, you have the XY chromosome. To be a female, you have the XX chromosome. There is no other combination known to science. However, gender is a social construct. That is why in some countries, as we speak today, they have 48 gender identities. In some, they have 100. So gender is a social construct. In this country, our social construct of gender is male and female, as our constitution demands and recognizes. So, Mr. Speaker, even the UN Declaration on Human Rights does not make gender the basis for discrimination or enjoyment of rights. It says sex. And once it is sex, it is male and female. So if you change your sex as assigned at birth, cosmetically or surgically, you are flouting the Constitution. Mr. Speaker, the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, in Article 18.3, again another international convention they quote, it says the freedom to manifest one's religion or beliefs may be subject only to such limitations as are prescribed by law and are necessary to protect, here is the cause, public safety, public order, public health, or morals or the fundamental rights and freedoms of others. Mr. Speaker, when you look at the Ghana AIDS Commission's own data, men having sex with men are a prevalent cause of the increase in HIV/AIDS in our country. So we have a duty to protect public morals and a duty to protect public health, because the consequence of an increasing HIV prevalence is on the taxpayer. Mr. Speaker, even when you go to the CDC, which is the Center for Disease Control in the US, the statistics are clear that persons who are heterosexuals, the effect on their mental health, heterosexuals are 2.3% likely to contemplate suicide. Gays and lesbians are twice that, 4.6%. Bisexuals are almost 3 times that, 7.4%. As for transgenders, 30.8%. Mr. Speaker, the fact is clear. And Honorable Muntaka, in his submission, the Honorable Member for Asawasi, referred to homosexuality as madness. Mr. Speaker, he was speaking science, because until 1974, it was only 1974 that the American Psychiatric Association delisted homosexuality as a mental illness. In fact, anybody who studied any of the mental science manuals, which is the DSM, Diagnostic and Statistical Manual, before 1974, homosexuality was listed as a mental illness along with necrophilia, zoophilia, and pedophilia. The decision in 1974 to delist it as a mental illness was not based on science. It was based on an opinion poll of only 6,000 people. So clearly, homosexuality is a form of madness and mental illness. And what they need is psychological care. Mr. Speaker, the Human Genome Project, and that's on science. The Human Genome Project is a $3 billion funded project by the government of the United States of America, which is the biggest investigation into the human genome. This project spanned 20 universities in the United States, the United Kingdom, Japan, and South Korea. And what they tried to do was to map out the human DNA to identify the genome. Mr. Speaker, they were able to identify the genetic marker that makes somebody like me. I only smell the food and I grow big. And there are some other people, they can eat 10 balls of kenke, they won't grow big. Like Sosu. All of this is genetic. What makes you have a bald head like Okujeto Ablakwa or have an afro like Sam George? All of these are genetic markers. Mr. Speaker, the Human Genome Project was able to identify the genetic marker that makes men have feelings, emotional attractions to women. It was able to identify the genetic marker that makes women attracted to men. It could not find any genetic marker that makes men attracted to men or women attracted to women. It makes me understand why Honorable Esla Usu did not have affections for Honorable Abina Asare, but rather found Mr. Ekufu attractive. Mr. Speaker, she even sits next to the handsome Mr. Atachia, Honorable Atachia, because it is a genetic thing. Mr. Speaker, let us serve notice, Mr. Speaker, that Honorable Ahia, for his submission, said in 50 years there will be migration. Well, he doesn't need to wait 50 years. It's happening today. He says they'll be extinct. In fact, extinction comes when they lack people. Currently, most of the Western countries are attracting our finest brains here and offering migration programs to bring people in there because their workforce has been depleted. They have an overage population. Because, Mr. Speaker, like it is attributed to Robert Mugabe, if you put two men in a room and give them 12 months to produce as an offspring, they cannot produce an offspring.
So stand tall, Africa. Stand strong. The world is being put on notice by your strength and faith. Anyone who wants to go against your rights as a nation, dare I say, your enemies are under your feet. And I'm not just stating this as a mortal feat, but even more so a spiritual battle, and the battle belongs to the Lord. You are his people. It's even ridiculous to think that the enemy stands a chance. I mean, what if the devil was to walk up to Jesus Christ and say, you have to respect my values and ideas? What would Jesus do? Well, he already answered that question when he said, I saw the devil thrown out of heaven like lightning. Well, recently we just saw America's vice president thrown out of Africa along with her evil ideas on Air Force Two, which is the plane that Vice President flies on. And that was pretty fast. Don't give the enemy a crack of an open door to enter into your house. Keep doing what you're doing and keep your children and your next generation safe from the foul spirits that want to take refuge on your land and taint your minds. Let me give you an example of what this looks like, because it doesn't start with a pride parade and flaunting its stuff in the open. Those parades are fruits of the seeds that are planted by schools and universities. Now they're making children take part in LGBTQ events, and if the kids and their parents say no, well, let me show you. The teacher in Canada, this is Canada, but United States just the same.
Well, I'll tell you, you are out to lunch. If you think it's acceptable to not show up because you think if there's some pride activities going on at school, right? Oh, that's fine. You know, because I'm going to show my opinion by hanging out at the mall. But meanwhile, all of those kids who are, involved in, say, the Gay Street Alliance or whatever, I don't even know if we have that anymore in our school, they're here when we did Ramadan for Lion Time, and they're showing respect in the class for your religion, right, for your beliefs. It goes two ways. If you want to be respected for who you are, if you don't want to suffer prejudice for your religion, your color of skin, your whatever, then you got to give it back to people who are different from you. That's how it works. It's an exchange. And it isn't like that in all countries. As I told you, in Uganda, literally, if they think you're gay, they will execute you. If you believe that kind of thing, then you don't belong here. Because that is not what Canada believes. We believe in freedom. We believe that people can marry whomever they want. That is in the law. And if you don't think that should be the law, you can't be Canadian. You don't belong here, and I mean it. I really mean it. And it's not a joke, Mansour. I said back and forth. You want it, you got to give it. It just makes me angry.
That was a classroom of Muslims and Christians in Canada being scorned for not attending a Pride Day at school, and American schools and many European schools are just as bad, if not worse than that. So they're infiltrating of the school system in the government, paid for by your tax money, our tax money, whether we like it or not. But it doesn't stop there. The conversion tactics are also in the hospitals and medical centers. Watch what this father had to say about his wife taking their kids into a routine medical checkup to play football, for his kid to play football. Check this out.
I'm literally on fire right now. I just got off the phone with my wife, who took my 9 and 7-year-old boys to the doctor today to get physicals for tackle football and school next year and all that other my 9-year-old son went in first, and the first thing this woman asks him is if he identifies as a boy, a girl, gender fluid, or non-binary. My son, he's never heard of any of that before. You've been dealing with him your whole life. He is clearly a boy's boy. So what are you, trying to plant a seed in his head? The only thing I could be thankful for is that my wife took them instead of me. And props to my wife, because she said something. And if she didn't, they would have asked my 7-year-old son the same question. It is ridiculous. And to the people out there that think that there's nothing wrong with that, and I'm just a transphobe or all that shit, you're up. This is bullshit. And there's something wrong with you. I'm literally on fire right now.
Remember, Obama came to your land in Africa in 2016 with his LGBTQ push on you, and another Democrat. This is their thing. Facts. So they are nothing like continental Africans in the way they think or at least vote. Hopefully that will change and can get some representation like those in Uganda and Ghana and Kenya who would protect our children from this. What say you? Do you agree? Great. Do you disagree? Screw you. No, just kidding. But still, let me know in the comments how you feel. And God bless Africans, the continent of Africa, and all those within the land. Morals, ethics, and godliness. And know this, that right now America has their eyes on Africa and the leaders and what they're doing. And know that the American citizens love you all, and we stand with you all. The great vast majority of Americans stand by what you're doing and what you stand for. We love you, and we want you all to share your comments down below, and we'll share ours. And together, we can bring forth a unity totally opposite of what the government's trying to do, is tear us apart. But together, me and you and the citizens of America, down below in the comments, we'll talk to each other. We'll show love to each other, and we understand exactly what you're going through. Pray for our country as well, and we're going to continue praying and watching yours. God bless you all. You have a blessed, blessed night. One love. Let's get together. We'll feel all right.